boys and girls, welcome back to another What's Next on Basketball podcast. This is episode 13. We're finally back. It's been a minute. I think the last episode I did was in October, and I kind of took a break from the podcast. I'm not gonna lie. It was not like I didn't want to do the podcast anymore and stuff. That was the whole thing that started all of this. So I didn't want to just leave it all behind, because I still like doing the podcast, because stuff like this, I'm not going to really do much editing when it comes to these videos. It's just simply going to be me and you talking, like a lot of my other videos these days now. But this one will also be a part of the Spotify. So obviously, if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to follow as well. But if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, comment down below, do all that stuff. I think you can also do it on Spotify as well, but I'm not too sure on that one. But anyways, wherever you are, either it's Spotify or YouTube, welcome. We are here with, again, episode 13 of the What's Next on Basketball podcast, and we have a couple stuff to, discuss here. And I've been trying to figure out ways and how what to do with this podcast. I think I'm just going to go back to what it was originally, which was just talking about any news stuff that's been going on. My plan is I want to try to do it every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So obviously I'm recording right now on Tuesday. Hopefully I can get this up, because again, I'm not really going to do too much editings. I think I might try to do a little cool intro. So if you do see an intro in the beginning, then you know what it is. If not, for the YouTube, it might just end up being the same intro that I do for all my videos. But in the future, I will try to make an actual intro specifically for the What's Next on Basketball podcast. Is there anything else I want to say before we start? Well, obviously, before we start as well, again, make sure to subscribe, comment down below. Well, not comment down below, just make sure to and subscribe before we get on with this. So, we have 6 things to discuss on this Tuesday afternoon. We will start off with talking about Ja Morant. So we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, not everything since the last time I've been on here, but everything that's been happening in the last week or two. One of the things I'll talk about is Ja Morant. So Ja Morant came back. It was against the New Orleans Pelicans, where he ended up having the best comeback from suspension game that any other player has ever had, dropping, I think it was 34 points. And this one's gonna be pretty quick. I just want to talk about how he came back and how he's been playing really well. And since he's come back, the Memphis Grizzlies are 4-3. They started off going on a 4-game winning streak, which was amazing, but now they went back down to a 3-game losing streak. And I'm just, really happy to finally see Ja Morant back. The league honestly felt kind of weird without Ja Morant, because it's we have a lot of really, really good players right now, but I just wanted that one guy that, Ja Morant, that what he does, amazing scoring, just an explosive player, just something that, I just dropped my paper, just something, someone that's just fun to see all the time, because he's going to have an explosive night, he's going to jump around, make shots, just do anything that entertains the fans. And we do have players like that. One of them at the top of my head would be Anthony Edwards, who has been doing a lot of that. But when it comes to the Grizzlies, I'm sure the fans as well were definitely missing Ja Morant when they were on. I think it was probably only won between 4 to 5 games without Ja, I believe. It was rough. It was rough without Ja Morant. So now it seems like they might try to do a late playoff push. I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but we'll see. Ja Morant was able to come back somewhat pretty early in the season. I think it was 2 months after the season started. So they still have a pretty good chance at least getting a 9th or 10th seed for the playoffs. But we'll see about that. Other than that, I'm just really happy Ja Morant's back. I really hope he's learned his lesson. I did see a clip where Ja Morant was already doing, when he scores or whatever, he was putting up gun things and stuff. So hopefully that's just for show, and he's not going to try to do something crazy again, because we really don't need that in the NBA with so many things that's going on. I've talked about already so much drama on the YouTube channel. If you haven't, make sure to check that out if you're listening to it on Spotify. But it's just been a lot with the NBA. So hopefully Ja Morant has learned his lesson, and the Grizzlies can finally go back to what their future was going to look like, which was future championship contenders. Now, moving on from Ja Morant, we're going to go to Goran Dragic, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Recently, like a week or so ago, he retired from the NBA after 15 years. So I just want to do, quick congratulations to Goran Dragic on his retirement, and hopefully he has a very good retirement. He was, like I said, he was in the league for 15 years. He was on many different teams. Obviously, one of them being like the Miami Heat, which is where I saw him from. Because again, I started watching during the 2020. Like, I really started watching NBA, like taking it serious during the 2020 bubble. So I got to see him play with the Heat and stuff. And I've seen, his highlights and stuff from like his younger days, and how he won the Euro basket. Was it the league or like some event they were doing? He won that for his country, and that was pretty cool to see. So, rewatching it, of course, I didn't see it live. But, he was a very good player. He was a fan favorite, and I'm sure he was a favorite amongst his colleagues as well. Just an overall great player to have on a team. So, obviously it sucks that he retired, but again, wish him all the best. Next up is the Detroit Pistons. Now, as of recording, they went back to losing again. They lost to the Houston Rockets. But the thing about that now is now they're only on a 1-game losing streak. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you have been under a rock and did not hear about it, the Detroit Pistons finally broke their streak. They were able to beat the Toronto Raptors on, I'll tell you right now, the day. It was, I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday it was. Where's the NBA on here? I'll tell you right now. Yeah, it was on a Saturday. It was Saturday, December 30th. They were able to beat the Toronto Raptors, the final score being 129 to 127. They almost lost, but they were able to keep the lead. And obviously, everybody went to Wingstop afterwards. I didn't, because I thought it was only Detroit that had that deal. But I ended up finding out from my friends that apparently I could have gotten Wingstop too over here. It was around the whole, country, which sucks because I would have gotten some wings. But, it is what it is at this point. So hopefully maybe they'll win again. We can try to get some wings. So, Detroit, this is for you. They finally got a win. I'm sure. I heard Monty Williams, the coach, he said he was almost in tears after seeing that win. All these players were hyped. They were excited. So, I'm just very happy to see that they finally won. Because I was telling everybody, it's like, even though they were on a 28-game losing streak, they'll forever be known as the worst team in NBA history just because of that. They weren't really as bad as it looked on paper. Like, their team had Cade Cunningham. They had Killian Hayes, one of the Thompson twins, Isaiah Stewart, who was the guy that was on the Warriors that they traded? James Wiseman, that was him. James Wiseman was on there. Bojan Bogdanovic was on there. Alec Burks, which he's not the greatest player of all time, but he's a pretty good role player. I don't know. It's just the team didn't look like as bad as they should have been. So, in a lot of their games too, if you look back on a lot of their games, a lot of them were very close games. It wasn't like they were getting blown out every night. But it wasn't like they were getting blown out every night by like some team. Like, it was very close in the points. So I'm just happy to see that they finally got a win. And that's just great there. So obviously they're on a losing streak right now. Hopefully they don't keep that losing streak again, because no one obviously wants to see that. But again, happy for them that they broke that streak, because I know that was a huge toll on them. Next that I want to talk about is the Toronto Raptors and New York Knicks trade. So, as of recording right now, I already uploaded the video about, my thoughts, my grades, and everything on the Toronto Raptors and New York Knicks trade. For those of you that don't know, the Toronto Raptors sent OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn for RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round pick via Detroit. And there was a lot of controversy around the trade, because there was Knicks fans feeling like they shouldn't have, a lot of Knicks fans from, obviously being, unless it's hard to figure it out behind me, I am a Knicks fan, so hearing from other Knicks fans, I have heard a lot where it's like, a lot of them weren't too mad about trading RJ just because RJ was really, really on a shooting slump this season. And he's always just been like, I hate to say it as someone who's one of the biggest RJ fans out there, he was mid. Like, there's no question about it. RJ was just a mid player. He was very inconsistent. He just didn't look like the player that we thought he was going to be. So fans weren't too sad about that. What they were sad about was trading Emmanuel Quickley. And the reason for that was just because Emmanuel Quickley was a great, great scorer off the bench. He was great for the New York Knicks and really helped them in times when they really needed somebody to score. The problem was that they weren't able to make a deal with Emmanuel Quickley during the offseason, so that meant he was going to be a free agent after this season. And from how it looked, again, we're just going by speculations, there's probably a high chance he would have re-signed with the Knicks, I'm sure. But from what we know, he wasn't going to be with the team, and he could get a contract from anybody. And with how good Emmanuel Quickley is, Emmanuel Quickley 100% could be a starter on any team, which they showed yesterday on Monday when they faced the Toronto Raptors faced the Cleveland Cavaliers, which they did win, by the way, which is awesome to see. I'll talk about that game later, but he could be a starting point guard anywhere, and that's what Emmanuel Quickley wanted to be. He wanted to be a starting point guard, but the New York Knicks were like, no, we're not going to do that because that's not what we see in you. We want you as our bench player, our sixth man. Jalen Brunson is our starting point guard, and that's not going to change. So if he would have stayed with the New York Knicks, he was going to be on the bench. I'm not sure why they didn't just put him as shooting guard. Maybe Quickley prefers the point guard position more, which makes sense because he was our backup point guard. But I feel like he still could have shined on the shooting guard position. But hey, maybe he just felt like that wasn't, for him. And then obviously the Knicks again, and Quickley and his agent could not come to a deal. So because of that, there were many Knicks fans, including myself, that knew this coming into this season, Emmanuel Quickley was going to be a trade piece. But some other fans weren't really too happy to hear about that. They were like, no, he'll stay with us. Let's just play through the season. I'm sure he'll re-sign. And they traded him, so a lot of fans were just very upset about IQ leaving. Obviously, no one really cares about the pick because it's a second-round pick. No one really cares. As for the Raptors, from what I've heard amongst Raptors fans, losing OG was a very, very big loss. And a lot of fans were... They were iffy about the trade. They didn't like losing OG WNOB, but they were happy about getting Emmanuel Quickley. And I've even heard some people be happy about RJ Barrett as well because he's going back to his hometown. So maybe RJ will shine now that he's in Toronto. I know that game against the Cleveland Cavaliers that they just played yesterday, he ended up dropping 19 points, so that was awesome to see. I think he ended up shooting what did he shoot for? Well, I'll check the score here right now for you guys. He shot for, what are we looking at? Monday, New Year's Day. He shot 6 for 12 from the field, so 50%. So that's actually really good from RJ Barrett. So hopefully that's a good sign when it comes to the Toronto Raptors and RJ, that he'll end up being a good player for them alongside Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Jakob Poto. Is it Jakob Poto? Poto, I think it is. I think that's how you say his name. You guys already know how I am with names and stuff. And also alongside Emmanuel Quickley, who will 100%, in my opinion, be a star when it comes to the Toronto Raptors. He, as far as I know, it seems like they're going to have him as a starting point guard, which I did call and say it's definitely going to happen, because there was no way Dennis Schroeder was going to stop Emmanuel Quickley from getting that spot. And that was a great thing that they did. I think he also dropped like 16, 17 points that night. He did very well himself, and it was just great to see by those two. I know Raptors fans are very excited about getting IQ, so that's a good thing for them. And I mean, maybe they're happy about getting another pick that they could use later on in a trade. But again, it was just a second round pick, so no one really cares about it. As far as the trade goes, again, I've already said my opinion on the YouTube video. If I want to say it here on the podcast too, just so you guys listening on the Spotify want to know as well, or listening on YouTube. after a couple days now of the trade happening, I will say again, I already said it before, but I'm pretty happy with the trade, honestly. It might be a shock to a lot of Knicks fans because some fans are still very upset about it. But after seeing OG Anunoby play for the Knicks against the Timberwolves yesterday and seeing how great he was and how much of a game changer he was, I gotta say, I think this was a great trade when it comes to the Knicks. We finally got that wing player that we've been looking for years now. We finally got that guy that can guard all positions, that's just a great defender all around, that we know for certain can make it every night. Now, it's his first game, so there might be a chance he might not do great scoring, but we don't need him scoring. We don't need him to score crazy points every night. If I know his average right now is like 15, 17 points, if that's what he gets every night, that's okay. I'm not going to be mad because we have Jalen Brunson on the team, the captain, who's going to lead the charge. And we have Julius Randle, who as of now is looking like an MVP caliber player, dropping like 30-plus points every night. He just dropped 39 yesterday, which was awesome to see by him. I'm really happy with how great Julius Randle has been because with Julius Randle and the fans, it's just been up and down with them. There's times when he's a great player and we're all happy for him, and then there's times he's moping around, he's getting upset, and we just all hate him because it's what are you doing? But it seems like Julius Randle's in a good spot now when it comes to basketball, and he just seems like he loves playing out there now. I know in the start of the season fans wanted him gone, but he was trying to tell fans listen, I'm dealing with an injury, just give me a couple games. Because he just got surgery for an injury, so he was give him a couple games. It's gonna take him a minute, and fans, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of Knicks fans were nah, we don't care. But the second he finally got into the rhythm, fans were oh, my bad, man. We apologize. You're being a great player, and it's just awesome to see. I don't think Julius Randle, because there was that conversation with the one female coach for the WNBA who felt like Jalen Brunson was not the 1A player that the New York Knicks needed. I don't want to sit here and say Julius Randle is that guy, because again, I'm saying he's MVP right now. I don't know if he's that 1A guy for us, just because Julius Randle still has problems that he needs to fix if he wants to be the best player on the team. But he's definitely a player that I would want on a championship team. Julius Randle is one of those players that is great every night. All we need to see now from him is a good playoff performance. The last 2 times we went to the playoffs, Julius Randle did bad. The first time was, the first time the Knicks went to it, and we all just kind of shrugged it off and said, hey, it is what it is. The Knicks finally made it after 8 or 7 years. We'll let it slide. The last season, when they went to the playoffs, fans were really upset at Julius Randle how he performed, but we ended up finding out he was dealing with an injury. So we said, okay, we'll let that slide. But this time, the next playoffs, if he does bad, we're going to have some concerns as to who he is as a player. But hopefully he can keep doing really well. He seems like he'll be a guaranteed spot for the All-Star selection. Not as a starting 5, but it'll probably be a reserve, which I will also be talking about my All-Star ballot later on in the video. That'll be saved for last, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And he's just a great player to have, so it's really happy to see there. I really got off track there. But back to what I was saying, again, on my thoughts on it, I'm really happy with the trade. I think Raptors fans, for those of you that don't know about RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and want to hear an opinion from an actual Knicks fan and how I feel about the trade, when it comes to RJ Barrett, you got to understand he's going to have some games where you're going to be really, really frustrated with him. From my experience, he's had a lot of games where, again, I said it before earlier in the video, he can be inconsistent. I feel like that might change with you guys since he's in his hometown, and he was literally said in an interview, I saw his press conference thing when he came to the team, that he was really happy that this was a dream of his to play with the Raptors, the team that he grew up watching. So I feel like that's going to give him a lot of motivation to do better, and hopefully he does for you guys, because if you want to hear from me personally, I think RJ Barrett can be an all-star. I don't know about superstar because we're not seeing that right now, but I think RJ Barrett could definitely be an all-star for your team. As for Emmanuel Quickley, as long as you guys can sign a contract, give him one, Emmanuel Quickley will be your amazing point guard, your superstar point guard, that point guard that you guys have been, looking for after Fred VanVleet left. I think Fred VanVleet was a point guard. Was he a point guard? Let's check again on my phone. Let's see. Fred VanVleet. I think he's a point guard. Yes, he is a point guard. So now that Fred's gone, you need a new point guard. And I think Quickly will be that guy. As long as you can make him happy and feel like he should re-sign with your team, you guys are guaranteed a superstar right there. So yeah, that's what you should probably look forward to in those two. They have a lot of potential. Both are still very young. RJ is 23. IQ is 24. So as long as you help build around those guys, I think your team with IQ, RJ, Siakam, Barnes, Jakob, I think that team will be really, really good in the future. So that's what you guys can expect. And I think that's really all I have to say about the trade. It's been rough. I was really, disappointed when RJ left, but I'm just happy to see he's at least on a team that he'll be happy to play for. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is actually about the Utah Jazz. So yesterday, a lot of things happened yesterday when it came to the games. The Utah Jazz finally did something that they had not seen in 16 years. Since 2008, a Utah Jazz player had a triple-double for their game. And that player was... Oh, let me get my paper here that fell. That fell earlier. That player was Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson, as most fans know that watch the NBA, is a very, very well-rounded player, and he's very good. And Jordan Clarkson was able to get a triple-double last night. His final, scoreboard here, the box score for him, was 20 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. This was the first time, again, that any player has done this since February 13th, 2008. And that was Carlos Boozer, who ended up dropping 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists on the Seattle Sonics. That's how long it's been, yeah. The last time a Utah Jazz player got a triple-double, the Seattle Sonics were still a team. So that tells you a lot. There was another thing here, too, because I actually found out, too, that Jordan Clarkson, I guess, was off the bench for them, which I thought was kind of weird, but apparently he plays off the bench. This was the first time that a bench player actually got this much points since Mark Ayton, I think is how you say his last name. He dropped 12 points, he had 14 rebounds, and 12 blocks. I don't remember the year. I forgot to write that down. I apologize, but I'm sure you guys can find it somewhere. But that was the last guy off the bench for them that did it. Actually, you know what? Since we're talking right now, I don't want to leave you guys hanging when it came to the year, because they did say it, I believe, on like the recap. That's actually, because I was reading the recap for the game, and I actually saw it there when they were talking about it. 1983. It was... Shoot, where'd it go? I'll tell you the month as well. February 5th, 1983. Oh yeah, both last times this happened were both in February. That's interesting. But yeah, that was 1983 when a bench player of the Utah Jazz had a triple-double. So that's even further back. So that's kind of insane to think about. But congratulations to Jordan. I'm really happy to see that. He's such a great player. I wish he was on a team that was competing right now, because obviously the Utah Jazz, I hate to say it to you Jazz fans, but you're not championship contending teams. And in case you didn't realize that already. So I wish that someone would trade for him. Maybe he likes staying on the Jazz and he likes it there, but I would love to see him on a team like maybe even the Bucks that they could use off the bench, or the Celtics. I think the Celtics, hey, maybe you should try to go for Jordan Clarkson. He would be a great player to have off the bench since he already knows that role. He could be like your sixth man. I don't know who your sixth man is currently since you traded Malcolm Brogdon to the Trailblazers. But, hey, I think... Or was it the Grizzlies? Because I know they had like different trades with... No, I think it was Marcus Smart that went to the Grizzlies and Brandon Ingram went to the Trailblazers. I think that's what it was. I don't think Brandon Ingram got traded to the Grizzlies, but, he was like their good sixth man. He won sixth man of the year, and I think Jordan Clarkson could definitely be a good player off the bench for them. So, hey, Celtics, I know your bench isn't looking too great. Go for him. But yeah, congratulations again to Jordan Clarkson for getting the triple-double. Now, the final thing we'll talk about, I already told you what that's going to be, is my NBA All-Star ballot. So we're getting closer now to the NBA All-Star game and All-Star weekend. So I decided to give you guys my predictions for what that's going to be. And we'll start off with the Eastern Conference. The starting five that I have on here, hopefully I put this in the right order. I probably didn't put it in the right order, but this is my starting five for each. So for the Eastern Conference, I chose Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid as my starting five. When it came to the reserves, because I know that's more of a coach that picks it, my predictions were Damian Lillard, Tyrese Maxey, Julius Randle, Jaylen Brown, Bam Adebayo, Trae Young, and Paolo Banchero. I think that's his last name. But Paolo from the Magic. You guys already know, I've been talking about it many times throughout my podcast episodes, my YouTube videos. I am very high on Paolo. I think he's going to be a great star in the league. He's in year 2 right now, and he's still looking phenomenal. I think we should give him an all-star selection, pick. I just think he deserves it. In the West, I chose, for their starting five, I chose Luka. I don't know how to say his last name. Y'all already know. But I chose Luka, Shea, LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Nikola Jokic. For the reserves, I chose Steph Curry, the Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, AD, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Lauri Markkanen. When it came to the West, it was hard to choose with the reserves because it was between Lauri Markkanen and Brandon Ingram. And I'm sure you can make an argument for whichever one. But that's what I thought the backup should be. There was also another player, too, that I didn't add, which I don't know why I didn't add him. But De'Aaron Fox, I think, should also deserve to get a selection. Like Sabonis could probably get a selection. But these were the players that I chose, over them. I'm sure some people would be like, I'd rather take Domantas Sabonis or De'Aaron Fox over Lauri Markkanen. So maybe I'm just too high on Lauri Markkanen, but I'm going to stay with my pick, and that will be my prediction for him. But that's, really all it is. I just wanted to do that real quick so you guys can hear my all-star selections. Let's see, is any other explanations? I mean, y'all already know why I chose Jalen Brunson as it, so hopefully that sounds good. Y'all can let me know in the comments down below how you feel about my all-star selections. But with that said, that will be the end of episode 13 of the What's Next on Basketball podcast. And as we see right here, it looks like this will be about 30 minutes or so, the episode. Very short, not going to be an hour long like a lot of the others have been. I just didn't have that much to talk about, honestly. But, it's really nice to come back to the podcast and give you guys more episodes because I'm sure you guys have been wondering why I stopped doing them. And I know I've been getting more attention towards my YouTube channel, which is why I really pushed the podcast back a lot because I've just been having so much fun with the YouTube channel. And this doesn't mean I'm going to stop making videos or anything like that on the YouTube channel. I'm still going to do my thing. I'll also be uploading this on YouTube as well. And I might try to break down some clips too that I'll put for shorts or just another short little video that I'll put that you can just watch on its own. And that's all I have to say. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below anything on any opinion you had during this episode. And I'm going to try to have a schedule for this. So my schedule will be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So as of recording right now, you should see this sometime later today. And I am your host, as always, Jeremy, and I am signing off for the day. Have a great day, everybody, and happy late New Year.